This week's Alice and Zouroku episode was really fun. I think at the core, this was a sweet episode. It was great to kind of see the two kind of become friends because they've been enemies for so long, but it also answered a major question. Really the only question the series had to answer before episode 12 for it to not have something kind of lingering in the back of our minds, and that is, where did Sana truly come from? What is Sana? And we get the 100% answer of, she is Wonderland in a nutshell. Wonderland started out as this room, slowly expanded. More or less, it's its own world, but eventually, with how it expands, with how it collects information, with how it grows and learns from other things within Earth itself, it eventually will become its own universe. And ultimately, Sana herself is just an embodiment of this world, so she could go explore Earth and more or less be Wonderland's eyes. And I think that's very interesting, especially it plays back to Zouroku himself, where he's pretty much said, like, it doesn't matter, like, what you think you are, what other people think you are a girl, and you're gonna have a normal life. And I really like how the two's conversation this episode kind of, like, it starts out with her kind of like thinking she is just this monster, she isn't human, but then at the very end she's saying like, I do have people I care for, and that's what I'm going to live for ultimately. So even though she may have been in the embodiment of this world, she at this point has discovered her own being. Like, she is her own person, even if she still is the embodiment of this world, and even if the world could replace her if eventually it became the point of like she wasn't doing what this world actually wanted, I feel like she has become her own person because of the growth and this kind of like slice of life second core that I think is really sweet to see where she is, comparing it to where she started out, just being this locked away monster in a facility. I thought that was great and it answered the only question I had lingering in the back of my mind: who exactly is she? Because we knew she came from Wonderland because that's where, like, back in the facility we saw her in this Wonderland area, but we never had the confirmation of exactly what she was in full detail, and Sana herself more or less kind of like says, I assume that's what I am, and I think it's really good to see that. But this episode was great. There was a lot of Alice in Wonderland vibes again, with the whole rabbit situations and things like that, but it was just fun seeing, like, the main meat and bones of this episode was actually the two just kind of sitting and talking and coming to terms with their own issues and kind of dealing with, like, kind of laughing and crying and just having their own issues and revealing it, because for Sana, every time she's had these issues, she just gets pat on the head and says, when you're older, you'll understand these feelings. So the two being of more or less the same age, they're able to talk with one another and not kind of feel like people are brushing them aside, or because they're more or less the same person, just with different environments around them. So I thought it was great watching the two talk with one another and really kind of come to terms with their own feelings, but also help one another, while at the same time watching Zouroku and his granddaughter just kind of navigate Wonderland, seeing all the different memories that she's kind of implanted. The statues, like Sana kissing Zouroku on the forehead and his granddaughter's just kind of like mocking him like, oh, Sana really likes you, kind of a thing. I just really like this episode. I thought it was a really balanced episode in terms of how they kind of implemented Zouroku in the episode, though he wasn't the forefront, but I just liked how, like, his entire purpose is like, we're gonna go save her, let's do this, and he's just kind of seeing how much she truly cares for him because of the statues that she made with her memories. I thought that was great, but I just liked the conversation between the two, and just the overall aesthetic with this Wonderland vibe looked beautiful, especially when they're all looking in the sky and you see these kind of like mechanical parts just kind of like going around because the world is evolving and adapting. I thought this was a great episode. I really enjoyed how the series has progressed here, the first 6 episodes being a more kind of like darker and more action-oriented series, with this second half being the season 2 we never get, seeing the character who gets that happily ever after ending, actually seeing what happens happily ever after. And basically after this episode 12 could do whatever it wants, and I'm perfectly content. I got a detailed explanation on more or less what Wonderland is, who Sana is. I've had a lot of development with them and their family, and ultimately they've more or less become friends, these two girls here, and I'm just excited to see how it ends next week. No matter what, if it's a bad episode, good episode, I've had a brilliant time with this series, and it's answered all I personally wanted to see. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Did you love the episode? Did you hate it? What was your favorite moment? I think my favorite moment is honestly just the entire conversation between the two and them kind of coping with one another and kind of dealing with their own issues and their own struggles in their minds. I thought that was just overall beautiful and heartwarming to watch, and a little kind of just sweet to watch depending on the certain conversation that they were having. But let me know your favorite moment down in the comment section below, and before you leave, please be sure to like the video to show your support. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.